Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the F13 podcast. I'm Brian McGinnis. With me, as
Uh,
always,
Cliffy
is
B with my awesome mug.
man, you got all this merch.
I know my wife's a busy beaver.
She makes everything, right?
hmm
In your little craft room. It's awesome.
Yeah, she has. It's like a goddamn Michaels out there. It's
Yeah.
not a Hobby Lobby because the people at Hobby Lobby are assholes, but that's another
Yes.
time. Hey, so we're switching up the format, right?
A little bit. Yeah, we're gonna do me and Cliff are gonna mess around for 20, 30 minutes, and our guest is gonna come in. By the way, so excited for this guest. Because we can say now, Mike Wilson, who
Yeah.
co-founded Devolver, amongst other things. Devolver is, and I'll tell him this, one of my favorite publishers because they don't mess around. They only do good shit.
Well, they're
Um,
kind of like Neon and A24 before Neon and
yeah,
A24 were
for
known for being
for
producing
video
great
games.
stuff.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes, yes, yes. They don't mess around with junk. It's like everything. Anyway, it's gonna be very cool.
Well, yeah, I
Um,
mean, so the whole thing Brian and I were talking over is the fact that like when we get our guests on, the guests in the waiting room, and like Brian and I have like 60 seconds to like, which happened during the week, blah blah blah. We don't really have time to talk about that stuff. Apart from the episodes when nobody likes us, and then we have a full hour to go back and forth. But maybe 30 minutes to just shoot the shit about like what we've been watching, what we've been listening to,
yeah.
who like all that kind of stuff.
It'll fly by. And we do have a bunch of stuff to talk about too. Two big things happened to us this week. You celebrated 14 years of marriage,
Yeah, thank you.
and I had a kidney stone. Sorry, I was a little late on that one, but it's still going. It finally,
No, I mean,
it finally passed.
marriage is hard, but not as hard as a kidney stone.
So this is true. I mean, I text you that, but so after Retro Bits, which was literally Thursday, a week ago, at like midnight, I started getting really uncomfortable. I couldn't get to sleep. I kept trying to go to the bathroom, and I'm just like, what is going on? And I had a kidney stone when I was like 22 or 23, right? Have you ever had one, by the way?
Never, thank God.
Thank God, dude. So, and then out of nowhere, I was like, fuck, I think this is a kidney stone. I think it's coming. It's like, it's on your bottom right, and it's a 10 out of 10 on pain. It's not a 9, it's not an 8. It is a 10 out of 10. The most painful thing I've ever had in my life. And I finally at 4 a.m. told my wife, please call an ambulance. I was trying to like piss it out. I was drinking and puking. Nothing was working. And I was like, I got to go to the hospital. And I got rushed to the hospital. And yeah. And you know what? They gave me, I didn't tell you this. They gave me fentanyl.
Oh, they actually
Um,
gave you Fent.
so they gave fentanyl, but I didn't know. I said, I'm a 10 out of 10 guy. Please, I need something. I'm screaming. I'm yelling. I had to get something. And then out of nowhere, I guess it kind of knocked me out, which I didn't know, of course. And then I'm woke. I'm like, I get woken up like, buddy, wake up. And I'm like, huh? What? They're like, oh my God. I'm like, what happened? They're like, well, your heart rate almost stopped and your lips turned blue. We gave you fentanyl. And I was like, well, it works. So I just remember saying that.
Did you lean forward?
No, I didn't like just wobble. I was laying down.
Fuck, that's
But
terrifying.
it really is. But then the worst part, they wouldn't give me anything else because they were so worried. I'm like, give me less fentanyl. And I even said, like, look, I know how this sounds, but can I just get a little bit of fentanyl, please? Like, I turned to a crackhead
Yo, man.
instantly. I'm like, this shit is, I don't do drugs. I'm like, this really works. Like, oh my God. And then they gave me like a bunch of like Tylenol and shit like that, and then like some sleepy meds. And I just pissed it out eventually. I didn't even realize it, but yeah.
You didn't? Did you get to hear the clink of it
No,
coming out?
no, at first they did ask me, like, how's your pain? And I said 8 or 9. I was trying to be tough. And he goes, not a 10. And I said, I don't want to be a total pussy. And they all started laughing. But I was like, it's actually a 10, guys. It's actually a 10. And it was the worst experience of my life. I remember I didn't drink soda or have milk or have sugar for like years after my first one. And I don't drink a lot of soda now. And when I go out, maybe. But I don't know what happened. It just came out of
They say it's
nowhere.
like soda and tea and all that shit,
Yeah.
right?
And
Like,
it was a fucking
that's
millimeter.
all it takes. That's
And
all it takes.
the doctor said it could be a centimeter, a millimeter. It doesn't matter how big. It's really just the shape. And it's like this jagged, fucking sharp thing. And it was just,
Just
it's the
pulling its
absolute,
way through.
yeah, it's the absolute worst pain you will ever feel. I don't wish it. I wish it on some people, but not on most people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I'm
yeah.
glad you're better.
I know. Then you pee it out, and I'm totally fine. I'm literally fine immediately. Like
That's
it's like
fucking weird, man.
the painter. It really is. What a dumb organ we have.
So I love that you're in the hospital and you can't even stop with the jokes. This guy's
Yeah,
got jokes.
I had to. I was gonna kill myself. Yeah.
You should have said
Um,
I'm at a 13.
hey, push a button, ding ding ding.
Mhm.
But how's your anniversary? Did you guys do anything fun?
It was good. We just, one of our first dates was at Second Empire, that lovely restaurant downtown, which is this kind of Adams Family Second Empire architecture looking
Oh,
mansion.
never been there.
And it's really, really nice. Great date night.
Cool.
It's one of those fancy places where it's fancy, but you actually do leave full, as because a lot of those fancy places you eat and like an hour later, you're just like,
Yeah.
let's hit Taco Bell on the way
Right.
home.
Yeah.
And we just had a nice chill night, came home and resumed watching Furious with Emmy Rossum, which is classic Hollywood. Here's an FBI detective who's hunting a serial killer. But the twist is that she's gone through her own trauma, but the woman she's hunting, who's a serial killer,
Yeah.
was trafficked sex wise, obviously, and then now she's hunting down the people who were responsible for when she was trafficked when she was a teenager.
Oh,
And oddly enough, the way that she kills them is by incapacitating them because they're these high profile like lawyers and government officials and things like that. She tricks them because she's this tiny little pretty red haired girl and uses fentanyl to keep them in a drug induced stupor before ultimately giving them too much fentanyl to the point where their heart rate slows and their lips turn blue. So that was a
I'm
boom.
I'm a big fan of fentanyl now, guys. It works. Big supporter.
Anyway, it's a really solid show, but at the end of the day, the highlight of my day, besides the stuff that I'm doodling on work wise, and of course our podcast and my dogs, is just going downstairs and what are we watching tonight? What movie are we gonna watch and what show are we got to get caught up in House of the Dragon. I love how they're like, okay, you like Game of Thrones, you like dragons, here have all the fucking
Yeah.
dragons you want. We'll
My
blow
wife's watching that, but I'm not. Yeah.
it's good. I just got confused as wait, who's that? What? It's just because everybody has the Targaryen hair, even if it's like a white dude or a black dude. I'm just like, wait, who? Like what? I don't fucking know anymore. And Lauren kept up somehow, and I'm like, yeah, I think that was back when I was drinking, so I didn't pay
Yeah.
attention.
It's
But then
fine.
we watched that movie Soulmate. Have you seen the trailer for that?
No.
It's kind of like Companion, which Companion was a great movie.
Yeah.
Sophie Thatcher, yeah, the
Yeah.
dude, Jack Quaid,
Mhm.
as a douchebag because he's
Yeah,
really
we
good at playing a douchebag.
yeah.
And it's she's a the sex bot companion bot, which my sister-in-law's dude actually produced Ryan Ridley.
Nice.
Small world. Yeah, yeah. We're sitting there like Christmas and companion came out conversation. She's like, oh yeah, I produced that. I was like, okay. Um, and then but Soulmate's kind of like that from Bloomhouse and James Wan and all that. And it's basically like companion, but with a lot more sex stuff. But it was a solid movie because the trailer looks completely stupid. The way they spell it is Soul M number 8 TE.
Mm. Oh,
And
okay.
it's like,
Yes. Okay.
and you're like, that's redundant because the number 8 says 8 TE. And they actually address it in the movie. A couple of the
Okay.
disgruntled employees actually say it. So you're like, ah, at least you said it. But
So
actually, it
maybe
was pretty good. The main girl was good. She didn't go too full, like, small wonder. She was just enough of like a robot until she started getting increasingly sentient. And there's one scene where somebody has sex with one of the sex box, and let's just say the tightness didn't have a throttle, it didn't have a
oh,
governor on it in regards to
sure.
the vaginal canal, and it was a very painful scene to watch as a dude.
I would imagine that's gonna be an issue in 5 or 10 years when they're normal everyday household appliances that people will be in the hospitals daily because
Oh,
of, their
dude,
sex robot malfunctioning.
dude, our fucking the family was visiting, and suddenly our toaster oven we've had for like 10 years just started smelling like burnt plastic, and we're like, did somebody like try and cook a Pokemon action figure or something? And
Yes.
like this area, this level just has smelled for like days, and I've been lighting every candle that I've been opening windows, letting the humidity in that.
Ugh,
And yeah, and
it's awful 'cause like 90% humidity today.
and so then I'm like, Lauren, like, do you have like the dimensions of like, can you send it to me? Just send it to me. I'll buy another fucking toaster oven. And she like draws this like isometric, like, with the dimensions on it on a post-it. Like she draws like the little knobs on the side. I'm like, yeah, just
Is it
text
ins
it to me.
is it, like, installed in its own little nook?
And
Just
no,
buy
it's not one of those. It's just there's a certain designated space where min max.
oh
It's
my
not like
god. You guys are that is some OCD shit. Just buy a toaster oven. They're all pretty much the same.
but it's no, 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 no. That's my obsession impression. No, 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 no. Go to Amazon right now and look up
I
toaster oven because so many of them now are air fryers and convection ovens
which you should get. Yeah, might as well get that. Get the 2-in-1. I do.
well, the number one question is, can I fit a whole chicken in it? And I'm
Yes.
like, okay,
Not
well,
mine.
what kind of chicken are we talking about? A big, like, we're leaving out variables here. And like Lauren's like, I found this one. I'm like, but the trays all curl
How
upwards. I just need a
how
flat.
often are you cooking a whole chicken?
I don't know. Like,
Exactly. So don't worry about it. They'd say that, but like I'm never gonna once a year, if that. Come on.
apparently I'm not the target demographic because I'm not like, honey, it's Tuesday whole chicken night. Well, like it's called go to Costco and get the fucking rotisserie chicken already. Jesus, I guess that's the size that they're thinking of.
Next time
But
next time you start a game studio, instead of like they have like Thirsty Thursdays, you'll do a full chicken Friday. And
yep.
every employee gets a full chicken on Friday.
I'll take all the fucking chickens. Dude, I had a quick thing today, by the way. Like last night, I had one of the best nights sleep I've had in a while. I
Good.
feel like I've hit the proper balance of my medications, and I had many dreams, all these crazy dreams. But one of them, I was talking to this random person who I think it's like a bartender that we know in Raleigh, and I was riffing with her on humor. And like this thing popped into my head, like, like talking about the idea of a semi being slang for a half erect penis, but why is that also what you call a truck?
A
And then I'm
giant
like,
truck.
right, like, and shouldn't like a semi for a penis be called a mid? Because you're not flaccid, but you're not fully erect, so you kind of have a mid boner. And like, it's not a good joke. There's not even a joke there. But for some reason, because I've surrounded myself with assholes such as you, and I go to good nights once a week, my brain's like, oh, maybe there's something here. Like, maybe I should just.
There's always something somewhere. There's something there. I don't know what it is yet.
I
We
know.
can
I
work.
just love that I'm already dreaming about like butt, boob, and penis jokes in my dreams now.
Speaking of which, no, there's really no segue. Hey, we started doing this thing called SpeakPipe, and you can, and for those that are watching or listening now, you can go to speakpipe.com/F13 podcast. You can leave us a message that we can play on the show and answer
Wow, how do
on
you
the
do that?
show, right? And we got a couple already, and some there's a weird one. There's some fun ones, and some actually. There's two good questions I wanted to, and a weird one. Let's do the weird one first. Get that out of the way. This is actually from the guy who made our theme song, my friend Adam Castor Garden. He sent us this one. Let's see. Let me know if you can hear it. Give me a thumb. You can.
Listen, I make good art and good music because I was traumatized, not because of AI. My father abused me. My family always neglected me and never validated me. My friends would overdose. And you know what? Through all the pain and hardship, I'm making good art, baby. So I'm just telling the younger artists out there, as an older artist, say no to AI data centers and tell your family to stop loving you. And in no time, you'll make good art. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
So there you go. You want some good art? Have some trauma. I guess that's.
I
The
mean,
message
that was first of all, that sounded like a GTA call-in show kind of segment right there,
Yes, it
like
did.
straight out of it. All right. And second off, actually, it's kind of true. You know,
It
the
is.
whole like Van Gogh cutting off his ear. Like, I made my best video games when I was the most miserable in my entire life, and that's the thing about Lawbreakers and all that. Like, it was a pretty good game, but it wasn't like my best game ever. And because I was really happy with, I was financially comfortable, and I have a wonderful wife who supports me in every way, and yeah, so now I just think if I make something new, I need to be miserable. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Same thing going back to comedy. Aren't some of the best, the sad clown thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. If you start making something, I'll just text you every day. You fat idiot. You stupid jerk. I'll bring your self esteem down a little bit. So you
I'll
start making.
show you.
I'm gonna make something great now.
That's going to be a tough call to top, by the way.
Yeah. So we had two like normal questions, which I do want to. We can answer them truthfully. So here's the next one.
Hey guys, my name is Zubair. I'm from the UK. Big fan of the podcast. I usually interact with Cliff's sort of Facebook posts and when I was on Twitter. My question is, of course, with the physical media situation, I'm a big physical media gamer. That's how I always play my games, and then I can pass them on to friends. Now, of course, with Sony mentioning that, from 2028, no longer going to be physical games. Do you think Helix now, Microsoft's next console, will have a good chance then if they now announced a physical disk drive, even if it does cost like $1,000 or whatever the cost? But yeah, just wanted your guys' thoughts on that.
I think
First of all, love the accent. I thought he was Australian before he said the UK. What a nice, proper, calm. I want him to read me a bedtime story every night.
right, like,
it was
yeah,
beautiful.
the
It was so
just smooth jazz on
it was
Tuesday
just
nights
so nice. Like all
with
this small
Zuba.
stupid American accents suck, and he's just anyway. What were you gonna say?
No, his name was what, Zuba, which I think is
Zubair or something. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it sounds like a really great name for a Silicon Valley startup. And I
Zubair.
mean,
It's like,
he's
you know what? It's an airline for pets. Zubair, or like a zoo bear. Yeah,
oh, it's Noah in the sky.
yeah. That's a good
Um, so yeah, the thing I think, Microsoft, who knows what Sony doesn't know what they're doing, Microsoft doesn't know what they're doing, or they do and they're just not saying it. I think there's always an opportunity. I mean, this is when capitalism is good, to see what your opponent is doing and to kind of be like, well, hey, they're not allowing physical discs, and I think a hybrid approach could be really interesting. We have these new discs with super high capacity, and you could have that, and that might require the physical copy might be a little more expensive. It could require a certain add-on to your console, but you still have that option at the end of the day. Maybe it's some sort of futuristic version of a burner, or if you download the game, then you could make your own version of it. I don't fucking know, but I think a hybrid approach could be really interesting and a good opportunity for Microsoft to kind of slide in there and look like the good guys once again.
for yeah, because it's been a while for them. But I think it's weird that
It's
Sony.
been a while. Whoa,
Yeah,
whoa.
it's weird Sony did this just out of nowhere. Here's the thing: the thing that people, the annoying thing, are the gamers like, I don't buy anything digital. You're a liar. Of course, I bet half of your console is digital stuff. Most of mine is digital because you get free PlayStation Plus games. I download stuff from PSN. I still buy tons of physical stuff, but I have thousands of digital games. You know what I mean? So it's like the people that say like I'm never gonna support you ever again. Like you're just a liar because like I only buy physical. It's not possible anymore. There's because most stuff is digital anyway, right? So that's one thing. Also, this does give Xbox a thing to be like, whoa, we were going to do the same thing, but look how mad people are at Sony over this. Maybe we'll bite the bullet and have a $1,200 console, but it'll have a disk drive, and then for the 5 games that we make, we'll put them on a disc. You know what I mean? Like I don't like. I don't know if I can see Sony reversing its stuff right now. I think they're going to have an add-on disc, and some companies will make a physical version. But I feel like the actual main base PS6 is just going to be digital, which I'm not thrilled about. But I think it's just that's what's going to happen.
What they're doing though right now with all of this is, people can be like, yeah, your average person, your ball and gun gamers, they're not going to give a shit. They're going to, get their latest Madden, their latest GTA, their latest Call of Duty. But the thing is that it's the core of the core that are the first people that buy your console, that are the passionate ones living on forums and social media all day long, that are the tastemakers. You have your average person who's the ball and gun gamer, and he knows his hardcore friend and is like, oh, hey, what's the deal here? What should I get? And it's that hardcore person that will tell them what to get, and that you need to win over the core to incite the masses was always the phrase they used behind the scenes at Microsoft.
It's always so annoying where it's just like, you know what, Sony, fuck you. I'm just gonna go buy a PC then. What? You mean the only digital thing? Like, there's no physical PC stuff anymore. What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah, I don't think you can buy a PC with a drive anymore. Like,
yeah,
and how that way for years.
How is that? I'll show you. I'll spend $4,000 on a PC. Damn it. Like, it's such gamers are just the worst. Not people listening, of course, but everybody else are just like, it really is crazy that people are getting crazy about that. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what the deal, but I feel like Xbox has made so many weird decisions. If they went to do a physical drive, the next one would be funny. But I feel like they're probably gonna do the same thing. Nintendo will keep doing their weird stuff. I feel like, and they'll eventually go digital too. But who knows, man?
The PC that I do this podcast with you on is really old already, and I had to look over. Like, is this even? Oh, I think there's a slot on the side still, but it's just like I had to look for the damn thing.
Yeah. Good question.
That's how often I use it, but yeah.
I know. And here's a last one we'll do today. I like this question.
Hey guys, first time caller, long time listener. Loving the podcast. I have a question. Obviously, you guys are both men of joke.
Men of joke.
Eric Andre the show is a show that I come back to every year. I rewatch it. And that had me thinking, is there a show that you guys feel the need to come back to? Specifically a comedy series, because there's so many TV shows that are so good that you want to come back to. Like, every year I have to rewatch Breaking Bad at least once. Every couple of years I'll go through Game of Thrones. I'll binge all the episodes. But Eric Andre, you think a comedy would lose its its chuckles after a while, but I fucking love that show. What are you guys thinking about this?
So Eric Andre, as we will put it, I came up with Eric Andre. That
Oh, come on, too soon.
back in New York. Yeah, we came up the ranks
Really?
together. Oh yeah,
Shut
yeah,
up.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, the
Oh,
F13
okay.
too. No, we were good friends.
You want to throw back to Mike's podcast with us?
Yeah, no, he was great. He was a lunatic back then. Couldn't be more happy for his success, and everything he's gotten. And that show is amazing. Here's the thing with that. When I hear people like, I watch The Office every year, or I watch Breaking Bad every year, I don't. That's crazy to me. Not because I think it's weird. I never do that. Like, the only things I've ever rewatched, I've rewatched Community probably 3 times. I've rewatched Scrubs. But even my favorite, and I'll watch Mystery Science Theater whenever it's on. I'll watch. I don't care which episode it is. I'll just watch it because I love that show more than anything. But like even like Parks and Rec, things like that. Maybe and Arrested Development. I've rewatched. But like, there are very few things that I go back and rewatch, especially dramas. Like I don't feel the need to do that. If I want to laugh, I think that makes more sense. But I don't really rewatch a lot of stuff. I think there's so many options now. I know a lot of people do that, but do you do that? Do you ever rewatch?
Not really. I mean, I'm just curious how much time this dude has.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was, by the way, that was his name was Frazzleary. That was his name.
Frazzleary.
Thanks for the questions, guys. But yeah,
it sounds like an STD that a Teletubby would get. But yeah, I actually never sat down and watched Eric Andre. All I know is the meme from "Why would you say something so controversial yet so
dude,
brave?"
it's you would love it. You would actually love this
it's
show.
right here on my list now.
They're 15-minute episodes. It's complete chaos what he does. And keep in mind the guests do not know what the show is. Very few of them.
That makes it better.
And he fucks with them so much, and like his desk explodes. The ceiling collapses, things like that. Like it's awesome what he did. He said they let him do whatever he wanted, and he truly did.
It's not 1-to-1, but it's not what you just said. Reminded me a little bit of what was it, Murderville, where they just have the everyone's and they bring on a celebrity. But Arrested Development though you mentioned that's one. For me it's like I don't fully rewatch the shows. I'll just go look up the highlights and the clips of it because Arrested Development just had so many of those great moments. Just like who is this Hermano? And then of course there's always Money in the Banana Stand and all of that. And that was just way ahead of its time.
The world's first anal rapist. Anal rapist.
Yeah. And then it was A New Start, Anus Tart. That was also a good one.
Yeah.
Never nude.
Yeah, like things like that. Like, yeah, I mean, I know I have so many friends that like, oh, I rewatch The Office every year, like all the whole series, or I rewatch this. I'm like, that's crazy to me. Like I don't know. I do like shows, but I don't know if I want to rewatch that many. But even long ones like Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad, I feel like that would be too heavy to do. But
that's a long time commitment. Hey, so speaking of Brian, I never actually showed Lauren The Life of Brian. I don't even think she's seen it at all.
It is I think that gets lost in the pantheon of great movies because I've seen it 1,000 times. I watched it last night. I finished it. I saw it the other day. I finished it last night. I think it's like in the top 5 funniest movies ever made. I cannot believe how good that still holds up, how funny those jokes are, how ridiculous some of the characters in the movie are. And I know it's like, oh, it's better than Holy Grail. Holy Grail is like the Holy Grail of comedies, but I really think it is. I always slightly, not because of my name, but I always slightly preferred Life of Brian a little bit to Holy. I love Holy Grail, but Life of Brian, man, it's just the first 4 minutes of that movie is funnier than any movie I've ever seen. Like it just starts off like so effing funny, like right away, and it never lets down.
All right, I need to go back and I saw it like when I was in high school, and it didn't quite click with me. But a lot of humor didn't click back then. It's just all I remember is the crucifixion scene. Was that one?
Yeah.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Yeah. No, I remember my friend rented Holy Grail when we were like, I don't know, 12, and we didn't really get it. Walk around banging the coconuts together. Remember that when they're riding the horses and things? And I was like, that's okay. And then, a couple years later, you get a little older, you're in college, and I watched it again, like, oh, this is actually really good. Then I got into the show, Flying Circus, and I have the box set DVDs of that, and I got into everything else they've done. Faulty Towers, which was John Cleese's show where he ran a hotel, might be the funniest. Like, I think it's like arguably rated like the funniest show ever made. Faulty Towers, like it
You
is.
just you don't get British humor until you're at least like 16 plus.
Yeah,
I
and
think.
thank God we finally get it because it's better than almost everything. Like it really is. I love it. I love wacky, weird, dry British humor and stuff like that.
Well, the American version, I guess, is kind of the Zucker brothers with Police Squad and all that. Because like we'd seen all the Naked Gun movies, but going back and rewatching the TV show Police Squad, which there's only like 6 episodes, and
Yeah.
they kind of reused some of the jokes in Naked Gun, where it's just like, is this some kind of bust? Yes, it is, and impressive, and the fact that they started the end credits and everyone had to just stayed still during it, all that.
Yes,
Every episode was just a great fucking running gag. We are getting tight on time, dude. I just had one quick thing I wanted to fit in before Mr. Wilson joins. Power Wash Simulator is exactly what I need right now after Expedition 33. And Lauren's just like, I walked into the office the other night and all because I didn't have my headphones on. All I heard was
That's it.
And it is so relaxing until that last 1% where you're trying to figure out where the fuck it was, and you're hitting tab. Like, okay, change the color of the mold to blue or pink. Look, and it's always you have to do your double crouch, and it's always underneath this one little piece of fucking awning. And apparently on Twitter X, they told me like it's a little bit more forgiving in the sequel. I'm like, okay, because it starts off like that. I'm hosing everything. This is great, and then I get it down, and then it just ends with a whimper. Where it's just like, okay, I'm at 99%. This was really fun, and now I just have to go and just clean it. It's kind of like back when we used to go to strip clubs on the regular, not you and I, but in general, and you'd throw out all the dollar bills, and it's very entertaining. They used to make the poor girl actually like pick it all up before she left the stage, and then eventually they're like, this is not good. And then they got a guy with a broom. Like, I need a broom for it, and I just had to come back to weird sex stuff. I don't know why. It's in my nature.
Yeah, I finished every level of Power Wash about a month ago, and it really is like when you get that ding, it's such a satisfying ding, like when you finish something.
Whenever I see the little, like, we were walking by a bus last night and I saw just like an itty bitty light on it, and I was like, oh, that's an easy one, ding.
Yeah, like you use that in real life though. Yeah, I just finished that. I finally, this is like true. I just finished Red Dead Redemption 2 that I started.
Go back to it.
I started in 2018. I saw my last trophy was my first one was 2018, and it didn't suck me in the way Red Dead 1 did. I love Red Dead 1 so much. Red Dead 2 was, I think, just too much for me to handle. It was like way too much stuff to do, and the story was a little slower for me. But then I put it on, I re-downloaded it like a year ago, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually not that far. And then I stopped, and then I looked at it again like a month ago, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually really close to the end. However, I wasn't, because after you finish the story, there's 2 epilogues that are like fucking 6 hours long, and I'm like, when is this game gonna end? Damn it!
Oh, kind of like a certain pseudo JRPG I just beat.
Yeah,
you think you're done? Ha! You're not done.
But at least, yeah. But this is, but it was worth it. It was definitely. I liked it. I said I put on threads like, hey, I just finished it. Good game, 7 out of 10. Wasn't perfect, and someone's like, 7 out of 10. You fucking lame. Why don't you go play Call of Duty? You lame prick. I was like, what the fuck? What are you talking?
Every time you talk about threads, it just sounds like the most.
Never good.
It sounds worse than Twitter, dude.
It's never good. Like, it's just people dunking. Like, no one can let people be happy on threads. And I just put up a little, hey, look at this. I beat it 8 years apart, but I finally beat Red Dead 2. Good game, 7 out of 10. And this guy was like, why don't you go play Call of Duty, you pussy? Like, that's what I'm like, oh my God. I didn't say it was a bad game. How is 7 out of 10 bad? Like, Jesus.
You're a stick and ball gamer or stick and gun gamer.
I don't know what his problem
Dude,
was.
This whole thing happened recently on threads, actually. Gary Whitta, who I've known forever since he used to work back at PC Gamer. He went on to just be a screenwriter. He wound up writing the Book of Eli with Denzel Washington, which was great. And then he wrote fucking Rogue One, which is, in my opinion, the best of the post-Disney Star Wars films, which I think we can all agree upon. And then he had posted on at some point, I think on some of the social media, like, who is this Harlan Coben and why are his books so big? Because somebody recommended one of them. It's like this ex-sports agent who gets caught up in some sort of mystery and things like that. And I'm like, fine, I'll read this fucking, it's kind of like, Dungeon Crawler Carl. I hear about it enough. I'm like, fine, I'll fucking read it. And tonight I'm going to continue reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's good, but it's just like, okay, video game thing. You get it? It's a video game. Do you get it? Do you get it? And now he's on level 2. Just like, okay, like kind of like Ready Player One, right?
I keep seeing people talk about it. I don't have it yet, but I was gonna get it the other day, but I didn't. But I will.
It's good. It's actually pretty funny, to be honest.
Okay. I just read a random Penn Jillette book called it's called Random, actually, by Penn Jillette, the magician.
Yeah. Did you ever play Desert Bus, by the way?
Was that their old game they made? No, but I read it. I've read about it and seen videos about it. Like it was just a game to fuck with people, right? It was just like a troll game, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the book real quick.
Yeah,
The book
yeah.
that you said.
It was a novel. Like he wrote a book called God No, like an atheist book years ago, which I loved because I'm an atheist too, and he's a big one. And it was a very funny book about why religious people are crazy for the most part. But this is a novel about some guy in Vegas who leaves everything up to chance. He keeps rolling the dice for every decision he makes, and it was good. It was entertaining. It was fine. Like there's some funny stuff and some weird stuff in it. I told you I saw them in Vegas. Probably the best live show I've ever seen in my life. Like
I mean,
legit.
I went years ago and I saw David Copperfield. I was there for a conference, and
I've seen him live, yeah.
I mean, it was great magic, showmanship, but it was almost like so self-referential and like kind of goofy, tongue-in-cheek old Vegas that it actually added to the charm because I was like, this is really corny, but I'm enjoying it. I don't know why. I was like, he's like met an alien friend that just appeared towards the end. I'm like, what is going on right now? But you know what? You got to give him props. I think he was like the top earning magician pretty much like ever.
Probably. Yeah. Penn and Teller, though, like one of the just so entertaining, so insanely entertaining, that entire show. They're so good at what they do. They're so funny. They play off each other. I mean, they do it for 50 years. Play off each other so good. Their tricks or jokes or whatever are amazing. You know, they let you in on some of the tricks and jokes too, which is really cool. Like they say how magic is like not that magic is dumb. Like, look at it, this is how we do this, and they do it, and you're still like, what the fuck? How did they do that? Like,
well, I mean, that's
things
the
like
thing
that,
about that masked
you know?
magician guy, who would just kind of show how things were made. And his
Remember that.
logic was that, he
What
wants
was
to
that
keep.
mask all about? What was that weird ass mask he had on?
It was very Eyes Wide Shut.
Yes.
But he didn't want people to know who he was. It's
Yeah.
part of the mystery. But his whole logic, behind the scenes was he wanted the current, crop of magicians to stop doing the classic saw the lady in half kind of shit, to kind of show how it's made. But that's why Fool Us, I don't really like to watch that much because once in a while I'll put it on and then like they'll just do the whole like, and then they're like, yeah, you fooled us. And then I'm like, what? What the fuck did they do?
Right.
Like, Jesus Christ.
I think it's crazy when someone, I don't know, it's crazy when someone does fool them or when they know, when something is, to us is just like, holy shit, but they're like, we know how you did that. Like, we know exactly.
Well, that's one of my favorite subreddits is Black Magic Fuckery. As well as Kids Are Fucking Stupid. That's another favorite one too.
And true.
But yeah, hey, so I think Mike's not here yet. Like, what's going on? Did he status up?
He said, oh, there he is. Boom. There
what the fuck? I just speak of the devil.
You just envisioned him. So
I just got a giant yo in the chat too.
There we go. We're going to bring him in, folks. Executive producer, video game studio founder, all that good stuff. Mike Wilson is with us, everybody.
What's up,
Mike? How are you?
I'm great, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I like your are you outside or is that just like your roof right there? That's so beautiful.
No, it's my living room. Yeah. I'm in San Diego.
It's like you live in a pergola. It's like you live in a pergola.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, we actually, my wife and I actually got married 14 years ago yesterday, of all things, at the San Diego Safari Park. And I always said that's the one city I would consider moving to on the West Coast.
Yeah, that's exactly how we ended up here, Cliff. And congratulations on 14 years. That's no small feat. But yeah, we had moved to Canada, to the west coast of Canada. And then after COVID, when we decided we needed to be on the same side of the border with our families, since they close, apparently, we literally drove all the way down the west coast and made it almost all the way down going, no. No.
Next.
And then down here, it's just this little corner nobody talks about of California that's like next to a great airport, and it's like just the most perfect corner of it, and just less insane than a lot of the cities where I'm way more familiar with in California.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. My brother lives in Orange County and he swears by it. He fully drank the Kool-Aid. And I just have a thing with, like the last game that I did that didn't do well. I just still wanted to mess up Southern California and LA because I think LA is just the most broken place. It's like if New York was put in a hydraulic press and then every bit of character was taken out of New York and you just spread it out.
Do an opposite Power Wash Simulator where you just squirt poop on LA the whole time. Like, take that. Your goal is to dirty everything instead of clean everything.
Yeah, I was just that's
a personal project here.
Well, that's the thing, Mike, is, first off, you and I go way the fuck back, at least 20, 25 years at this point.
Tell us the origin story. Tell us how that happened.
I knew of you. I think in the Dwango days. But then I knew you, I think, when you were at ID.
Yeah, I was at ID from the beginning of 95 through, no, I guess mid 95 through the end of 96.
And there was not much going on at ID in the mid 90s, right? There was a pretty
yeah,
quiet studio, nothing really happening.
Yeah, they were building for the future.
Yeah, tell us what that was like. Was that like did you know what it was going to be and like what the lasting effect will be going through all that at the time with Doom?
I mean, I joined them, to be clear. I joined them right as Doom had taken off. So no, I mean, yes, we're they and I, I'd been friends with these guys for a little while, and been watching, when suddenly my buddy Adrian, who was my in with those guys, he's just Adrian Carmack and I went to high school together, and he was just a pen and paper artist. Yeah, he was just the guy that everybody would ask to draw something if they needed drawn, but he was like a dark kind of, not goth, but we called him Heads back then. But it's funny, I don't think he did any drugs. He just looked like a stoner. And I was like this chameleon character that could talk to the football players, talk to the artists. Like they would ask me to go talk to Adrian to get something done. And which ended up kind of being my whole career, is to being able to talk to engineers, talk to artists, talk to biz people and whatever, and get them all to not kill each other.
Yeah.
But
shit.
Where's your memoir, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like a $5 an hour art intern, and then he was like, dude, I just got a raise. I'm making $23,000 a year.
Ooh, the good old days.
Wolfenstein. And I was like, what? With those dudes making games? And then the next thing, he's like, I just got a $50,000 bonus and blah, blah, blah. And then at some point in that just fiery haze, they realized that they'd kind of gotten a crappy deal from their publisher. And
where was the Venn diagram overlap with you and Jay Wilbur?
I would just pop in the office sometimes. I had moved to Dallas for my wife to go to grad school, and I was just doing random entrepreneurial shit. And Jay was overwhelmed all of a sudden. He was their biz guy / office manager / literally stocking the Cokes in the Coke box.
Yeah, they're all programmers and artists. They're like, hey, you just deal with all the other shit.
Everything, literally, yeah. And suddenly, when everything was like the army calling, to want to use Doom, and the mainstream media and all this, he just needed help. And I was a guy they trusted because they were impressed with what I had done at Dwango, which was another job they sent me to, and because I'd played Dungeons and Dragons with them in our underwear. Is how we met. It's
romantic.
That's how me and Cliff met.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I still want those panties.
It engenders a level of trust. Like he's one of us.
That's funny. That's awesome.
I remember Jay Wilbur actually called his laptop back then Never Cold.
Never Cold.
He made a good amount of money with them, and then he was just like, you know what, guys, I can't do this. I got a family. I got to fucking peace out. And then a couple of years later, Epic just swooped in, like, okay, what's it gonna take? We want you. As our biz guy.
Thing that ever happened to Jay. He got that magical job that you only get when you really don't want a job.
Exactly.
Keep throwing shit at you.
Like, fine, I'll fucking do it. It's funny what you say though about the whole like hanging out with the jocks and the metalheads, heads, whatever. For me, I always saw that as a strength of mine as well. Like, I could, nerd out with the programmers about God knows what, and then talk to the artists and the animators, and to be able to go between those worlds, I think is something that's really underrated. I was, a shitty artist myself and a shitty programmer, but I was able to, fake it until I made it.
Yeah, if you just do enough to put you on the side of being able to have a common ground conversation with these types of, with all these different types of people, because they're all trying to get to the same place. They just speak different languages, and therefore there's a distrust,
and not kill each other is a good way of putting it.
Yeah, because they're literally, everybody thinks the other guys are the douchebags for making everything hard and ruining everything, and they all are. Every group that we just mentioned takes their turn being the ones that are ruining things temporarily.
That's funny.
You know, but anyway, it's been it took me a long time to realize that was even the role I was playing, and then Cliffy, like you, as like looking back as I was working on a book. And I was like, oh, that's what I was already doing in high school. That's why I knew Adrian in the first place, you know? And anyway, it's just funny, these little moments that if you don't lay your life out, and like I've talked to you about this, Cliff, I don't even care if my book ever comes out, but I laid my whole life out in a way that now I understand what happened. Because it was just such a blur, man. My 20s were like, I already had a kid, and then you just scrambling to provide, and college, and then this career, and just all of a sudden I was 30 and had made some money and had no idea how I got there. So anyway, we're all
no, I mean, it's just crazy, you know, talking about what, first and foremost, the whole like fucking tribal nature of humanity. And then you add in the misfits that are the ones who weren't the ones going to the football games, the prom and all that. And then there you put them all together, which I often equate to drama nerds who were the misfits. And then, you know, you have one who's the leading man, and then you have the one who plays, you know, the town, you know, hunchback and everything in between, working towards a goal and then trying to find a way for them to work together. But also, you know, the whole life coming at you fast. Like, you know, I have a whole thing that I say to people, like, until you're at least 30, 35, you're a fucking child. Like, and you have no idea what you're doing.
And a lot of times I feel like I still am in my better moments, but
hopefully in a good way. Yeah.
Anyway, we just jumped right into a bunch of stuff. I hope whoever's watching or listening to this has any idea about the era we're talking about. But
yeah, I'm sure our fans do. But one thing I wanted to talk about, we can jump around obviously, Cliff, but you helped founded Devolver Digital, is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I'll say this: anytime I see a game, and if that first second of the trailer says published by Devolver, I'm immediately 1,000% more interested in what this game is. What you guys have done, and the way you, I guess, curated games or picked certain games. Like, you didn't pick junk. You picked, like, some of your games are some of the coolest games I've ever played. And whether you worked on them or not, like, I wanted to read off a couple. And I saw that some that you did work on. Broforce, by the way.
That's one of my favorites of all time.
Broforce is so much fun. Like, it had no business being as fun as it was. And it was like, what? When I remember when I first got it, I was like, what the hell? This is amazing. Like, it was so ridiculous and over the top and silly and just in all the good ways. I loved Broforce. I loved My Friend Pedro, by the way. I love that style. I love that game. I love just the whole idea about it. I don't know if you worked on this. Did you work on Inscription?
No.
Okay.
I mean, to be clear, I didn't work on any of these.
Executive producer. You were
you
were
involved in green lighting them and making sure
help facilitate bringing them to the eager hands of gamers.
Exactly.
There you go. I'm a game doula.
I think Inscription might be one of the most unique games I've ever played in my life. I only probably played it because I got into like those card games like Balatro and things like that. And someone said, you should try this game Inscription. And they're like, but it's not really a card game, but it is, but it's also not. I was like, what? And you know what I'm talking about. Like, it is the most batshit crazy, wild, incredible, weird game.
I mean, after we had success with like a pigeon dating simulator game and a game where you're a bunch of cocks and balls chasing each other around the screen, really the gloves were off.
Oh, that was that top-down one?
Genital jousting or whatever?
Genital jousting? Yeah, that's also from the Broforce guys.
Yep.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was, that was something they showed up with at GDC. Like, they didn't even pitch us. They just asked if they could show it and let some other people come in and play it. And then everybody's playing this game of cocks and balls chasing each other around the screen. And I guess by the end of GDC, I guess we're like, well, I guess we're publishing this game now because nobody can stop playing it.
But what was it really about? What was it really trying to say about society and dating in general?
What was the message?
It's funny. It really was trying to say something, Cliff. It was a big part of it was it was for 8 players, but the consoles only had 4 controllers. And so to really play, we would have to share controllers. And part of it was about what these guys believe to be the inherent sort of homophobia in games culture. That's really what it was about. It was about, just letting people, by designing a really tight, fun party game that's undeniably well done.
Give me back the cock.
That happens to be,
Yeah.
you sharing, me and Cliff sharing a controller while chasing each other's anus around the screen.
In your underwear, of course, in real life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've still got our underwear on at that point.
That's great.
And then I don't know if you remember, but they came out with a narrative. They did a later patch with a single player narrative, which was up for best narrative of the year at GDC.
I will go back and check that out. That's great.
The story of
the notes.
It's like Final Fantasy, Last of Us 2, genital jousting, the story
of John. It was a middle-aged penis, who's getting ready for his high school reunion.
And those are the worst
and
penises.
Deciding if he wants to go, sort of chain smoking.
That's great. Why not? Well, why not, right? Why not? I love it.
How have I never heard of this?
Yeah, dude.
Just saying, after a few of those things worked, it was like the weirder the better, as long as there was a tight original mechanic involved that you can defend. You're like, I'm sorry, yes, this is ridiculous, but it also happens to be a really well made.
But it's good that you mentioned actually having a fucking mechanic, because it's one thing, the internet just for decades now, it's just been like, oh my god, this is so wacky, I can't believe this happened, or give the YouTubers something to overreact about. I've always said PewDiePie's fucking career was built on, oh no, Mr. Slenderman, you're going to get me, it's so scary, and then the big stupid fucking thumbnail, with the giant fucking font and KLTS. Kids love that shit, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just scary games, it's just wacky. I mean, Goat Simulator actually was the dumbest thing, but it actually is a fair amount of joy involved.
A well-made game, that's the difference, right? You have to have both.
Yeah.
Because ones that are just a joke, you play for 5 minutes and then you never look at it again. But it's fascinating when something is that weird and you're like, oh shit. And also I've been playing this for 3 hours and I don't want to quit,
and that's
with the door locked so no one comes in.
Well, that's me full circle. Earlier I was talking about Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah.
And having just beat Expedition 33, which I've been gushing about, everyone's like, you gotta play it. I'm like, I'm not gonna play, and then I played. I was like, oh, okay, I fucking get it. Fucking 40 plus hours in, and it's so unapologetically French too. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But everyone's like, I'm like asking my social feed, like, what should I play next? And they're like, okay, Dispatch. I'm like, okay, I've heard good things about that. But first, Power Wash Simulator, I've been hearing about for years now. I never got around to playing it. And I started playing the first 5 minutes. I'm like, shh. Then I was just like, okay, there's different nozzles and I can rotate the nozzle. And then the ding, ching, and I'm just like, and like, my in-laws were visiting Mike, and I was just like, they're great people, but they had their 1-year-old and their 6-year-old, and I'm not big on kids. I know both of you have kids. Cool, you put that over here. But I'm like, okay, I have some work to do, guys. I'll be in the office. Wink, wink. And I'm up there.
Yeah.
And the 6-year-old goes into my office, and because he hasn't played a lot of games, his family's very careful about screen time, which I respect. And it's not just an iPad kid, like, give me back my Candy Crush, whatever. And he comes to my office, he's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm playing this game. I'm cleaning this Winnebago. And he's like, and that's fun. I'm like, yes. Eventually,
yes.
You'll understand. It's fun.
Yeah. A couple more real quick. Devolver thing. Ape Out, which was another one of those like, holy shit, this is fun, like insanely fun. And what I think is one of my favorite. Actually, if I had to pick an indie game, it's my favorite indie game. It's and how do you say it's a GRIS? I say Grease. What do you say? Is it
Grease is actually correct.
Good, I thought so.
I called it Gris for a long time because I took French. And I was like, you fucking morons.
I took Spanish. That's why I called it Grease.
But it turns out the developers are Spanish, and in Spanish, you go ahead and pronounce that S.
Yeah, it's Grease for gray. But I think Grease is. I mean, I don't think it's crazy. The most beautiful game that's ever been made. Like I've played it probably 4 times. I've played through it. That's like my go-to comfort game when I just need to. I don't want to blow anything up. I don't want to scream out. I just want to chill and just like be calm and mesmerized by how beautiful this. I have it on Switch. I have like physical copies of it. I absolutely love that game so much.
Yeah, for people unfamiliar, that's a game where they literally crack the code on how to play a 2D painting and turn it into a beautiful, tight platforming game.
Yep.
And I really wanted to turn that into more of a platform. Like I was like, guys, you cracked the code. Like we've been talking about this for as long as I've been in this industry. How do we make traditional visual art playable?
Yeah.
And they had done it. I was like, oh my God, we could bring in literally any artist's body of work and use these same mechanics to like have an adventure inside all of Van Gogh's work or whatever it is.
That's awesome.
And they were like, we like our guy.
Who are you? Go away.
Why would we do that? We love our guy's art. And I was just like, but also
right.
The same thing with Ape Out. Ape Out was a game with a all percussion soundtrack.
Yeah, it was so good, man.
Dynamic percussion. And I was like, oh my God, drummers. Like it would cost $10 to get you guys the best drummers in the world on this soundtrack. Like it's gonna be everybody. Because we're not asking the drummers to do anything. We're just asking to use their work, their stuff, whatever. And they're like, I love that idea, but we like this guy we met in the subway station that was banging on buckets. That was actually the inspiration.
Really?
And I was like, okay,
great.
all right. So
great.
my career has been a lot of conversations.
A lot of ideas, you throw out there. No, that's
well,
really
these
funny,
tiny teams, it's different. When Cliff and I were coming up, these tiny teams were making small games so that they could make big games later. It was like making a short film so you could make a feature.
Sure.
And the studios were in a hurry, Carmack notwithstanding, to grow and get big and be taken seriously, I felt like. And this new wave of indies that came in the Devolver era sort of inherently knew that that was not a good idea. They were like, small is good. We stay small. We still get to do whatever we want. And we're getting rich. And there's no pressure. There's like the Hotline Miami guys, those 2 guys working in a shitty apartment in Sweden. They came out, they were up for Game of the Year on IGN against one of the whatever Call of Duty game that year. And they became multimillionaires overnight.
Love it.
And what changed in their lives was one of them bought a car. just a regular car. Yeah. And they still lived, they made Hotline 2 in that same shitty apartment together because that's what they loved, and they weren't looking to grow. They could have hired help.
But I think that's the current dream. I mean, you look at this divide between, small, simple games, and then AA, I think, is where it's at in a lot of ways. And then, quadruple A, get the fuck out of here with that. But the fact that, the Hotline Miami, first and foremost, the first and second were great. And I just, for me, that was like Celeste, where it was just like so hard, die. Nope, got it this time. It's one of those games that my wife, but that's like, she plays Counter-Strike all the fucking time. Right now, she's probably playing Counter-Strike, which is kind of not that different than just, try, die. And, but it's just, she watches me play these ones and she gets so stressed. And Hotline is like, okay, nope, die, no, try. And it's short enough that you hit that restart button. And then you're hitting the rat with the fucking dopamine pellet. But the whole, like, the older I get, the more I put my producer, my finance hat on, like, okay, we want to put through this feature. How many people are involved? How much is it going to cost? How many months? And then, then how profitable is that going to be? Sure. It's the same thing in the restaurant business. Restaurateurs love pizza because pizza is pure profit. Because, apart from the toppings, which you charge for in the first place, which are microtransactions, all that shit,
Yeah, a buddy of mine was bitching yesterday about how when you add a topping to anything, they charge you like 80 cents. But if you're like, hold the onions, they don't take 40 cents off.
Right.
Come on. You should be able to remove part of your price for your sandwich or your
if you remove enough of the ingredients, the pizza should be free.
Keep that bun minus $2. Just give me the meat.
That's communism, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm so thankful about this. I mean, I've talked about it before. This indie surge. Like, I'm a huge indie person. I love indie games. If I've nothing to play, I just scroll through and just find a weird indie game, and if it says like I said, if it says Devolver, I'm more likely I'll just buy this one. Let's see what it's see what it's
Yeah,
about. But
that just happened organically. You know, we were really trying to hide our brand for the first several years, and because same story as God Game. It's not about us; it's about the developers. Put their brand first. The people want to know who actually made the game, not who published it and distributed it. But after a while, just like somebody compared us to Sub Pop Records back in the grunge days. They had all the Pearl Jam and Nirvana and all these guys, and they were never a huge mainstream label, but to the people that knew about it, they had everybody.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what Devolver accidentally became, because we started doing these tiny games, which meant we could do 12 or 15 games a year. And after a while, that brand started to be like A24 in film. You're like, this is going to be weird. It's going to be a little off kilter, not mainstream, and probably, for a lot of people with tastes like yours, more interesting than mainstream stuff.
Like, you've leaned into what it became, which is awesome, I think. And that's why, like, the Devolver directs, those press conferences you guys put on, they're hysterical. They're so weird, and like, I love shit like that. Like, I love that you don't, like, obviously you're super serious about what you do, but you don't take it serious. Like, they're all having fun. They're all
we're not carrying fucking cancer over here.
Yeah. And the thing with I'm a big story person. I love, Last of Us 2, God of War, I love that stuff. But most AAA games are mostly the same type of style. They all look similar. I don't know, they can't get much better looking, right? But the retro style a lot of these indies have, and just the weird stuff they do, is just like Ape Out's one of the coolest looking games too. It's so different, And
it's like, you can try things when you're not trying to sell 10 million copies. Like, even you can try stuff.
Go be weird, see what happens. I know when a developer went for something weird, like, this is awesome. Like, you can tell sometimes that's like, oh, I've never seen this before. This is so weird. Like, that's the stuff I look for.
If you're tiny, if you're an indie going up against, every form of entertainment is really who you're going up against, you better do something different. Like, don't waste the fact that you are more free than these big megalith companies and brands that can't really branch out that much, because, they need to make a couple $1 billion on the first weekend to break even.
Right.
Just like you could do the diagram of like amount of money spent on the game, and then they factor in known entities, known brands, and like the amount of risk starts going down, and then they start playing it safe. And I mean, the graphic conversation always comes up, like, if you can't beat them graphically, just fucking stylize. I always talk about Randy and Borderlands, and Randy's like, okay, all these apocalyptic games are coming out. Fuck it, cell shaded. Next thing you know, boom. Mega IP. And I mean, the thing about I had said on Twitter X, and Mike, you know Mark Rain, you go way back with him as well. Mark being Mark, always doing that. And, he still reads my social media feed avidly, which I find fucking hilarious, because occasionally I'll get a text from him like, what do you mean by that? Because I tweeted at some point, like, you ever find people who talk about horses too much are kind of assholes? And because he's always been involved in the horse scene, and I think he has like a stable now at this point with all that Fortnite money. And so he's like, what do you mean by that? I'm like, what's talking about
him, right?
Calm down, horse boy. No.
Exactly. But I also tweeted, like, are we at the point where, like, do graphics really matter that much anymore? Do they? Because it was always that whole like EA press conference or Activision where like they zoom in on the core of the guy's eye and you can see.
Yeah, we want good graphics in sports games and good story games too. Well, but it's not necessary for every game. Like,
well, especially if you're not going to change or introduce anything else new, you better have better graphics.
Yeah.
And when that Devolver wave of indies came, it was pixel art out of necessity, because this was a couple of dudes, and it was, people started to beat us up calling us hipster games, like that this was a stylistic choice. I was like, bitch, this game was made for $50,000. Do you think they had a team of, animators in the background and they just told them to just sit tight, guys?
We got this.
The hipsters left the pixel art.
I will, in a good, like, that would have been me, by the way, like, 10 plus years ago, to be like, fucking hipster game, blah, blah, blah. Go drink your PBR and smoke those American spirits and all that shit, right? And the fucking mustache thing. But like that, like, after my studio itself cratered, like the only thing I could like play or bring myself to play was just little pixel platform games on my Switch. Because I think I was just like crawling back into the womb of my early career with jazz and shit.
Man. Yeah, why did I want to do this in the first place? It was from super fun pixel art games that they weren't that impressive visually, but it didn't matter. Like it still doesn't matter. Like you're talking about that magic that happened to you with Power Wash, where you're just like, what is this? And then, what it is a ton of fun, which is why I got in the first place, and
I think part of it might be a little bit of OCD, right? Because, the thing I was saying, having the family visit with the 1-year-old and the 6-year-old, and I'm coming in a room, I'm like, oh, okay, Vincent, don't touch my light fixtures. I'm going to be nice about this, okay? Please, Vincent, don't touch you touch the fucking, I want to be like, you little fucker, don't touch the fucking light. I'm like, I have to be, Vincent, we talked about this.
Where's my hose? Where's my hose?
Seriously. Because I do love my brother-in-law and his wife are really, really great people. I want to keep that relationship good, but it's my house. Like, you don't like it, get the fuck out. Eddie Murphy.
I don't want your little kid getting electrocuted in my house. Who's going to clean that up?
No, that's what I literally will tell the kids. You have one job. Don't drown in my pool. And they're like, okay. Goes to the deep end immediately. But that whole like wanting things to be, I mean, that's why, I was decent at pixel art and level design was everything's on a fucking grid. And, a lot of game development is like spot the difference, get a new build and like the blood doesn't look the same. Who fucked with the blood? Like that kind of thing. And I think getting back to that pixel art, which is such an art form in and of itself, and just when the nice good gradients, and we only had 256 colors back in the day.
That's the thing, a limited tool set. Yeah.
You hear the stories
from limitations force just creativity.
You hear the stuff they did with Atari and Nintendo back in the day. They had to force themselves to think of creative ways. I love that stuff. Yeah.
I remember reading an interview with Jack White once when the White Stripes first popped, and maybe it was a couple of years later, they had made another album and they had added, some bass and some, but it was just him and a not very good drummer. His sister. And that forced such wild creativity that the White Stripes from the minute you hear the first few bars, that's who it is. And how many bands can you say that about?
Yeah.
And he said as they grew and they had money and there was all this pressure of producers to bring in more, more instrumentation and more technical prowess, they lost something. I'll never forget the record Elephant, but I can't really name for you the rest of their records right now. Because that first one, when they were raw and they had a very limited tool set and no producer in their ear, they created something magic.
I think, honestly, dude, you might have just explained so much about the music industry, and which is another thing we could go on about. I mean, your relationship with Gene Simmons and all that shit. The fact that, there's so many musicians that have been playing for so long that whenever they go and they're still packing arenas and things like that, people always want to hear the main hits. And it's the Chris Rock thing. Whatever music you were listening to when you first started getting laid, you would love for the rest of your life. And we had Tom Bissell on a while back talking about people who loved years one and all that shit. And when you're in those formative years of 17 to 25, this could capture this part of your life that you might not ever get back to again. And these musicians get all this success and money, and then they start making the new stuff, and everyone always wants the old shit.
And what a mind fuck must that be if you had a period of 7-10 years like the Stones or Led Zeppelin where you just couldn't write anything that wasn't a hit. And then the rest of, another 50 years, you're still doing it. Everybody's better at what they do because they've been practicing. And you've got every resource in the world. You just can't find that same magic. I wonder all the time. Certainly they make peace with it because they keep touring and playing the hits, but
money.
It's got to be quite a mind fuck, quite a humbling experience to never be able to tap that original rawness.
I think as a creative, it's the ultimate fear is you've lost it. You'll never have it in you again. And for me, possibly making something new, I'm still clinging to George Miller, doing Fury Road at 80. Right. Yeah. And that's the thing going back to age. Everyone's like, how many articles about back rooms, and Kane Parsons was 17 years old when he came up with this. I'm like, you should be doing that shit when you're 17. You need more stories about Fury Road, motherfuckers. I made fucking Jazz Jackrabbit when I was 17, 18 years old. Okay. That's what you should be doing when you have the fucking energy and you don't, you're doing it because you love it, not for the fucking money. But going back to the musicians and they're having to sing the same song over and over again. Okay, Stairway to Heaven, do it again, do it again. I go back to me doing karaoke and being bad at it, but it's not about being good. I will get up there and I go through my list, which yes, I have on my fucking phone. And I'm like, okay, read the room. I'm like, okay, it's a Billy Joel night. Fuck it. I'll do Piano Man or, you may be right. I may be crazy. Right. That kind of thing. And it's fun sometimes to do like the shit that because you've gotten better at it and the song. You barely have to look at the screen. Right. So maybe they like it. But again, money.
It's the opposite in my world of stand-up comedy where, I have to write new stuff. If I was doing jokes from 20 years ago, I'd have no fans. I'd have, I don't have any now, but you know what I mean? Like it would be, they'd boo me. We heard this before. So that's the thing we have to, I think it's one of the only art forms we have to constantly do new stuff all the time. Like you said, Billy Joel just wrote a new song, I think for the first time in 30 years.
Really?
Which blows my mind. Which is
there's a great
lazy.
Story
No,
there's a story about it, Cliffy. You'll love it. Look into it. There's a journalist / like super fan years. That basically talked him into playing again.
Yeah, like he sold out the Garden, but he played the same songs forever and just wrote a new song finally when he was 80 years old. But
why not?
One more quick video game thing. By the way, we have a really good indie game scene here in Raleigh. It's called the Triangle Interactive Arts Collective, right? The thing that Bryles does.
Okay,
it's a really cool indie game scene, and I've seen there are people making like pixel art fighting games, which I've never seen before, and like really cool shit like that.
Awesome.
You mentioned before, like this is why you got into it. What was do you remember your earliest video game memory, or had you your first love? Like how'd you get into games? I mean, what was your first system or whatever? Yeah. Tell us about that.
First system was an Odyssey 2.
Nice.
Oh shit.
Old school.
Casey Munchkin. They were basically making knockoffs of all the arcade hits back then. Yeah. Then I had an Intellivision and a ColecoVision. I never had an Atari, but all my friends did. I don't know. I definitely remember being 13 or 14 and like everybody that played games, I guess, thinking that would be a cool thing to do. Like if I could figure out a way to get to do that. But it's like everything, the world, your parents and the world tells you all the fun jobs are, you can't make money at those. Everybody wants to do those. You better go do something boring. Cause that's where the money is, So I kind of forgot about it, and I got very busy as my wife and I got knocked up when I was 19 and the first child I was 20.
This guy fucks.
And I don't know. I just never had time after that. Everything was an emergency all the time. And I kind of forgot about games other than I reconnected with my buddy Adrian in college, and that's when he had taken this art. I think we had an astronomy class together right before he dropped out. And that's when he was working for a $5 an hour as a $5 an hour art intern with these newly assembled dudes in Shreveport at Soft Disk.
Yeah.
Oh God, Soft Disk.
So you had had like a big gap in your gaming.
Oh, for sure. I literally didn't have time. And even in my 20s, like I played in the office and that was it, and so that means I only played whatever we were working on.
Right. That's interesting.
Didn't Scott Miller wind up like sending a letter to it at some point to like get in bed with them or something?
He did. He
from 3D Realms and Apogee Software, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah, he talked them in to basically leaving and becoming id, and he gave him 10 grand to move to Dallas to make Wolfenstein. 10 grand was enough to get these guys to move.
All the Mountain Dew you could have.
And him explaining that there was no state tax, et cetera, et cetera.
That was the equivalent of game development glass beads with Native Americans at that point.
Totally.
Hey, quick random point. You mentioned in television, and this is a weird thing that just popped in my head. Were your family identifying as Republicans or Democrats?
I don't remember any identification, but I think my dad was a Nixon fan.
Okay, well that kills that argument, because our family were staunch Republicans and we had Atari, but the Democrats in the street had television.
Oh,
and then we had laser tag, and those filthy Democrats had Photon. So I don't know if that was like
that's funny. I don't know. I was in But we didn't really talk about politics as kids in Shreveport, Louisiana, 80s. But
I feel like with all the emulated stuff nowadays, and television's always one of the hardest ones to emulate because that controller, it's so like I've tried to dabble and like play some old stuff. I'm like, this is impossible to play now. With
their tennis game was dope, and there wasn't another good one until I liked sports games.
Yeah.
And there wasn't another good one until Dreamcast. I remember because
a little bit of a gap.
Yeah. And then I bonded over Dreamcast tennis with Sam Hauser from Rockstar Games when I first started going up there, because Take-Two, who started Rockstar, also bought God Games. And
that's right. Didn't they wind up later doing a table tennis game, right?
Probably, because Sam was a huge fan of the. Anyway, that's what we would do. I'd go to New York and everybody be late for a meeting. They're like, "Where's Mike? He's been playing tennis with Hauser for an hour." Like, tennis outside? No.
Nope. Just sitting down in their underwear.
Let's not get carried away.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy.
That's fun. We got to wrap up soon. What else do you want to touch on? I could do this for 5 more hours, but
yeah, I'll come back tomorrow. We'll make it a limited series.
What working on anything fun now? Anything to plug or anything that you want to?
I am not. My wife and I have a nonprofit for mental health content for young people and their families called Medicinal.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was it called?
Medicinal Media, and it's about. I came upon this science as I was leaving Devolver right before our IPO, of all of these studies, like 22 years of studies that were mostly started to find out why games were terrible for people and were going to be the end of civilization. And most of them found out the opposite. And so they got quietly published, but never publicized. Like Cliffy and I never heard about this shit, but games are really good for people in a medically proven way, psychologically. And anyway, I got excited about that. And then I was like, oh, it's not just games. There's a such thing as cinema therapy and like painting anyway, all these practices. And mental health is just a passion of mine and my wife's. So that's what we're doing mainly professionally. She kind of runs it now.
That's great.
I'm on a year-long hiatus from any new projects, doing some stand-up.
That's what I wanted. But first off, it's amazing what you're doing with all of the mental health endeavors. It's cool that you and your wife work together as well. I just think, especially for men in general, mental health is spoke of very little. I'm lucky that I have an amazing therapist, and that's fucking awesome. But stand up.
Speaking, that's why we all need therapists.
What made you do this an awful career? What made you start that?
Oh, I'm not trying to make a career out of it. I just needed. It's actually a funny story. I don't know how much time we have, but I was living in Austin, stuck in gridlock traffic, like literally didn't even need my hands on the wheel type traffic.
And Joe Rogan drove past you.
It was pre-Rogan in Austin. But it was like 8 feet from me. The next car got rear-ended, and there was this huge explosion of glass and airbags. And I just looked over, and I realized that my heart rate had not accelerated at all. And I was like, am I dead? Like, what the fuck does it take to get a rise out of me at this point? Like, am I even still alive? And so I remembered I did theater in high school and college. And I was like, I need to go back to something that makes me terrified. And a buddy of mine happened to be teaching a stand-up thing at that time. And I just took that as a sign.
Look at that.
Did that. I didn't really perform much in Austin because I knew everyone. And it's really nerve-wracking when you're first starting to see people in the room that you know, for me anyway. And but when we moved to Victoria, BC, I knew no one. So I started doing it immediately there and got myself in a nice regular showcase scene. And every time, terrified. Definitely knew I was alive.
Dude. Okay. To back up for a quick second, Brian, and I know you got some shit to say about this. Brian's recording his new special. We'll plug in a second. Drama nerd in high school. Got the comedy and tragedy tattoo.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law from New Orleans is like, why'd you get a Mardi Gras tattoo? It's like, it's comedy and tragedy, man. But like, you've done your share shit, Mike, on stage, panels, keynotes, all that shit. I've done all that shit. Nothing. Like I have this aura ring, right? Which stands for obnoxiously undermining regular activity. And doing open mics in town, like I can do whatever. Karaoke, I don't give a fuck. like whenever I have a 3-minute set, when I'm done, I check the heart rate. It's like 150. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
I think mine goes down at this point. I'm doing it for so long. I'm just like, whatever. but that's great. It's so funny. Like, I don't know why I never had the stage fright. I started back in 2004 and I've never stopped. And before that, I was in a sales job and I was giving talks at conferences in front of like a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I think I maybe just had that already. I was trying to make my talks fun and whatever. So there was a natural transition, but first couple of times, of course, it was a little nervous, but you know, as you worked hard at it. Yeah.
For me, it's more the material that I'm nervous about because I write for myself.
Yeah.
And that is like, that's personal. If people don't find that funny, it's like, if you guys gave me a set that was your material, I would have no problem going and delivering it. I wouldn't be nervous because I'm like, if it's not funny, it's not my fucking fault.
Well, that's how I think of like making something like John Mulaney's thing where I'm talking about his whole relapse or his OD and just all that stuff. Yeah. And then Patton Oswalt's 20 minutes about his wife dying that he actually made funny, like shit like that that's like
that's masterful.
It is. It's incredible. So, the more personal it is, the more you want it to work, I guess, right? So the stuff I talk about that's more personal, I like, and you can't get mad at the audience yet. You're like, why did this not work? You go back, you tweak, you try it again, but you want that stuff to be the biggest laugh versus like some weird observation you heard the other day or something. But
totally. Well, my thing is, I whenever I do the open mic thing, sometimes Lauren would be like, "Oh, I invited so-and-so." I'm like, I don't want anybody I know there because then they feel obligated to laugh, and then if they laugh, I'd be like, "Did you really think that was funny? Did you? I don't know." And my thing is, my jokes tend to just go into like eating ass and things like that, and like that's my sense of humor.
Very personal.
And yeah, well, that's
not as personal as it gets.
Well, I love
he doesn't usually know whoever's ass he's eating.
Just with
anonymous ass eating is next level.
It's like it's a different type of glory hole.
It is. It's a dirty glory hole.
It's a victory portal. Yeah, and that's the thing is, Jimmy Valvano's quote, "Laugh, think, cry." Do that, 7 days a week, every day. You're living a good life. And we go to the local club that Brian's performed. That's where I first met him. Great club called Good Nights. They're like once a week, and we often are in the front row. And if they'll play, up to us, like in the front row, like, "How long you been married?" I'll act like I don't know, like, "Oh, I don't know." And he's like, "Oh, it's going to be a long car ride home." And, giving him something to work with. And I love it when I've said this before, it's an all black crowd with a black performer. And I'll be the little white couple in the front row. And he's like, "What's your name, sir?" And I don't even say anything. I'm like, "Lefford." And then that just gives him something to just go on. Right. And, nobody paid to come see me in that instance. Right. But with 3 minutes, it's fucking difficult.
Yeah, I haven't run out of juice on it yet, and I hope it's something. Luckily, it's something you can keep doing when you're old, because I'm getting up there.
Some people never quit.
I'm like, if I'm gonna be, shitty to mediocre for 10 years, then let's get started.
That's a great way to look at it.
Mike, is any of your stuff on YouTube or whatnot?
No, I'm purposefully not doing that because I don't want to get into. I've been promoting stuff my whole life, mostly other people's stuff, occasionally my stuff, and I just can't do it anymore. And so that's really kind of a drag because the first thing promoters ask you, when you go to book a showcase is like, what's your Instagram handle? I was like, man, I have one. I've got some followers, but I never use that shit.
I'll be at the club waiting to get into like a show and like, "Hey, Brian, have you heard of so-and-so? It says he's a social media sensation." And Brian's like, "Fuck you."
Totally. So anyway,
go see a real comedian. Yeah.
I was interested, Brian, when you were saying there's all this pressure to come up with new material constantly. And I guess that's new. It's now that you have to do stuff online all the time because nobody wants to see the same shit.
Yeah, like that, like the clips you do are to get people to become a fan of yours to come get you see live, hopefully. But yeah, people churn out stuff constantly. Like I'm finally, after 22 years, just putting out. I'm actually, by the time this airs, the week of. So next week, I'm recording my first special ever. I just never got around to putting one out. Thank you. I never put one out. I wish I did years ago. I just never did. So that'll be most of the last 5 years of stuff, but also some older stuff that I've wanted, that I've always loved, that I wanted, that I'm bringing back to kind of put on the special, just so it's out there finally in like a good format, And then,
that's awesome.
But then once it's out, I got to throw it all out and just, write new stuff. My friend Liz Mealy, who's a great friend of mine, she tours the country and the world actually. And she writes a new hour pretty much every year. And a lot of national headliners are doing that. A lot aren't, but a lot are still, trying to just do new stuff every single year. So people will keep coming out and seeing them because just like musicians, touring is where a lot of comics make their money now and everything. It's a hard life on the road.
I
but
get bored. I do start to lose the juice. I lose the reason for doing it if I'm rehashing material that I already know works. Yeah. And not that it works at the same level every time, but I get bored. And when I found out that comics often were going for years on tour with some of the same material before this new era of everything being online, I was like, I think I would be terribly sad about that. Like
that goes back to the music thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, you want to give them your best, stuff. And there are things that I hate that I know kills. So I'll do it because I know it's going to work. I know the crowd likes it. It's a fun joke type of thing. But after a while, I'm just like, I've done this so many times. Like it doesn't mean anything for me anymore.
But that's the most terrifying part about it. Cause Brian will message me, Mike, and it'll be like, he'll do a set at one place that just does nothing. And he'll do the same set the next night and it'll just kill. It's like, what the fuck? Like, who knows, man? Brian, are you doing the Cinnabon joke when you record the special?
We'll see, folks. You got to tune in.
I love the Cinnabon joke. Okay. So Mike, don't want to keep you too long. There's so much more we could have talked about between like God Games and Psycho Circus, which was a very underrated game. The first time you guys showed us that video, I'm like, a Kiss video game? Oh, okay. McFarlane's blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the thing we like to ask people towards the tail end is, the podcast name was originally called Crunch Time, but there were a million podcasts called that, turns out, especially in sports. So we changed it to F13 because on your keyboard it goes to F12 and get it. So if you had a button that you could press that was F13 and it could do whatever you wanted to, what would that F13 button do?
Oh man, I wish I had had a minute to think about this one.
It's more fun when we spring it on you and you're like, plastics.
Wow. Like I think I'd like to get a message out to the world in case I die tomorrow. like if I could have a button that would put this one idea into especially young people's brains, but old people too. It's just like play anything, like play games, play music, play dress up, play make believe, play capoeira, play improv, anything with the word play in it. You're on the right track. That's what we're supposed to be doing in this life.
I love
and that. Everything has become so much about work. I think if I could just remove people's fear of judgment, of people being afraid to sing, afraid to do comedy, afraid to dance, the things that make life worthwhile, and get them to fucking play. That would be my button.
What an answer.
That was fucking poetic, man.
That was awesome.
Cool. Great. Love it. I'll be a poet. You can really do that as an old man. That's what the world needs, is some poetry on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Actually, that was one of the things on Medicinal Media, is like somebody's like, a poetry podcast saved my life when I was suicidal during COVID.
You can't go back to Texas and have actual medicine, so we'll leave it there.
There you go. There you go.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming, dude. It was great to see your face, apart from seeing you on the socials. And good
luck with all this.
I didn't know that about Drummond.
Thanks.
Please drop me a link.
Yeah, it'll be on Monday. I'll email you the link and everything, and feel free to share or not, whatever you want to do.
I mean, to your special.
Oh, that too. Yeah, hopefully I get that out within a few months.
I was here for this. Yeah.
Hopefully I get it out in a few months.
That's a big deal, man.
That's really cool. I just want to get it done at this point. It's like I'm ready to do it, So it'll be next.
I've just been eye fucking his ceiling the whole time. So
yeah, you what?
I've been eye fucking his ceiling the whole time.
Yeah, I love it. His pergola. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, everybody, and please join. And also, send us a message on SpeakPipe, speakpipe.com/F13 podcast. You can send us a message, as we showed earlier this episode, and tune in, tell your friends, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.